Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for, well, it's time for me to talk about Spy Party. Alright, so we want to go here. Boom! Alright, what is up, guys? So tonight I wanna look at a topic that, I think has a lot of potential. A topic that a lot of players might ignore. Everybody uses it to some degree, in my opinion. And that's the topic of distractions. It's using them as a spy and dealing with them as a sniper. I would say is probably the most concise way I can put it. Um, and I mean, what's cool is that there's actually a lot of ways to interact with the sniper as a spy, and most of them also serve to distract them in one way or another. And of course, when I talk about distracting the sniper, I mean detrimentally. You don't want to, you don't want to purloin and distract them, and they're going, "Hey, purloin," and they see the purloin and shoot you. You wanna trick them up and mess them up so that you get the better end of the deal. And that's what we're gonna be talking about tonight. Um, it's kind of interesting. I don't have many, I don't really have any clips tonight because distractions are they're very mental, they're very psychological. Um, and I didn't feel like it would do justice showing clips of that nature because they don't really fully show what I want to talk about. They show bits, but not everything. And I wanna show the most used way to distract a sniper. Um, Oops, I don't want to play. I'm going to practice. Yeah, practice mode. Let's just go to ballroom or something. Nothing crazy. And in ballroom, good. The camera's not on me this time. In ballroom, I mean, the CCs don't fail that easily. Nothing's crazy. But the best way, in my opinion, to distract a sniper, to make them look at something specifically, is to do something like this.
And the bread.
And then you just walk on over, you do your thing, and you figure out what you want to do. That's pretty bad. But that's the gist of it. Is that when you're trying to distract a sniper, the most efficient way, in my opinion, is to banana bread. It is to just walk into a CC, ideally with the DA, just walk in, BB, white test, green test. It usually doesn't matter that much. You'd be surprised. And then you walk right on out without coughing. Please don't cough. And you do something. Now that probably seems a little simplistic. So let's rewind, undo my missions, add a bit more time, and discuss how to actually use this in a game. Because I mean, I'm just demonstrating basic distractions regarding banana bread specifically right now, and I'm gonna go into other ways. Trust me. But basically, a good way to use this tactic is like this. So you're in the middle of a game, it's pretty early ideally, and you grab a book. Nothing crazy. You kind of walk on over here, and when the CCs fill, like about now, you hit it like this. You go banana bread, alright, cool. He's highlighting and low lighting. I'm just gonna walk on over, hard transfer the micro, and I'm down. Which brings me to another topic. Almost everything I'm gonna talk about tonight is really dangerous. Although it's a very high risk, high reward kind of deal that I'm demonstrating here. And it's not because I think everybody needs to play crazy, but being able to distract your opponent is a great skill to have. It's something you should know about, and I would say this is the most efficient way to do it. Basically, with the distraction, your goal is to do as much possible in as little time, ideally without being caught. So you want a BB, that's a flirt, oops. That's terrible.
And the bread.
You want a BB and just do something. You wanna figure out what you're doing beforehand, ideally, and you wanna just make sure just distract the sniper. How? Well, when you're a sniper, when a BB goes off, you're busy. You're low lighting everybody out of CC. You're highlighting those people who are currently in CC, and you already, you think, okay, well maybe that was a white test, maybe it's a green test, and you're looking at your previous suspects and saying, do I think my opponent would do that? Is that something that player would do? Why would I BB there? And what's funny is that with distraction, usually they happen at suboptimal times, in my opinion. They don't have to, but I feel like they do pretty often. And that can throw a lot of snipers off in its own. because they think to themselves, why would Drawn be there? I got so many lowlights. But if he only has 8 seconds left because I just microfilmed, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's important. It's good to think about. But there's these pros and cons to it. It's a very risky concept to be staring at, to be constantly discussing. But I'm discussing it because it's a great tip. It's a great kind of tool in your box. Now, as let's see. I wanna jump on over here for a bit and say, one thing about these strategies that I feel is incredibly important, and I feel like it's not always obvious that this is true, but I would agree it's true, is that you can't constantly use these strategies every game, one after another, over and over and over. Because the goal is to catch the sniper off guard with your action, and then do something he or she's not expecting. And if you do the same distraction every game over and over, it becomes predictable. And the moment it becomes predictable, the sniper can find the common thread and zoom in on that quite literally in most cases. That's why I think that distractions like these should be used relatively sparsely. You don't want to use them every game. Maybe you want to use them every 5 games, every 10 games, every 20 games, but not every 2, not every 3, not every 4 games. That's a bit much. You want to figure out the best opportunities to use them. And that'll help you put the sniper on edge. It'll catch him off guard, and ideally you'll get the upper hand in the situation. And it's kind of interesting. Let's just that one. You practice sniper and all that jazz, and you have some highlights, you have some lowlights. Of course, all my highlights are people it can't be. But it's so interesting because when the BB does go off, it's hard to notice. It's hard to notice what you're focusing on because you're almost trained to it. If you're watching this, odds are by this point you're pretty trained for it. That you just go, okay, well that person's talking, that's a low light. That's a low light. That's a low light. And then they walk on over and transfer the book while you're doing your low lights. I mean, that took 5 seconds because we're playing on ballroom and nothing like wacky or crazy's going on. The CCs were fairly filled. But, imagine the spy just walked on over there, got a green swap, and walked away. I don't think I would have noticed that, to be quite frank. Unless you're watching for BB splits, which are a whole other part of the distraction, which generally help. So, there's a lot of interesting nuances, I feel, to using banana bread as a distraction. I know one player who uses it, I would say, relatively effectively, is Wodar. He does what he calls banana bombs, where he will just banana bread over and over and over. And I can really understand how that might frustrate someone. It's rough. But there's a lot that's going on, and that's what really catches people off guard. What I like to think about when I think my opponent's trying to throw me off guard is there's 4 things you should be looking at, and conveniently they work as an acronym. The acronym sounds kind of silly. I don't care, whatever. So I'm just gonna say banana bread in place of an actual banana bread, because that's easier. And you want to be looking at bags. I know, it sounds silly, but hear me out, I swear. So let's say banana bread goes off right now, and you think it's a distraction. You want to look at, get ready for this, books. So use it books, see if somebody just runs it and just put it right in there. You want to look at the AMBA. Is someone trying to bug right now? Is somebody just trying to get close to the ambassador so they can fling their arm around? Is someone trying to nab that guest list? And on this map, it's pretty nasty, actually. And the last one is statues. Is someone swapping, maybe inspecting as well? And that's an easy way to remember if you have a hard time about all the missions that a spy would be going for. Because those are the missions you can really rush. I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, they're just going to go in for another seduce. That's a lot different. That's not quite what you want to distract with. Unless they're really suspicious of you with that person. There are times when that might be the right play. But generally speaking, I'd say that bags is what you want to be looking at. Books, AMBA, purloin. I mean, guest list, not purloin, wrong word. And statues. Those are the things. I mean, if they're going to do a quick swap, they're going to want to distract you. And I think that's really cool. I love how it's... I love how spies can do that, how they can control the sniper looks. Especially now that purloin is, and I'm going to talk about this in a moment, a mission now. So, let's hop on out of here. And I want to discuss the next big way that you can distract your opponent. The next ones are different because they revolve around a mission that the sniper already wants to camp or look at over and over. And these are distracting the sniper via swapping and purloining. Now that might sound crazy. That might sound insane. But hear me out. So, the reason it's those two missions and not like microfilm or bug or... I mean, banana bread we already covered, but in a way it doesn't even work with banana bread. Is because with purloin, you can easily... you can see it as the sniper at all times. They nab the purloin, they nab the guest list, it's gone. You missed the G in your bags and just bass now. And, that's the cool thing about it. If you leave it gone, if you don't want to do the return, which you can do, that's also, it doesn't really fit the distraction area. Although it's a great tactic if you can figure out how to do it quickly. The sniper sees it. Who knows how long it takes? The sniper sees it, and it throws them on edge. They go, they did this without me seeing. Okay, hold on. What do I do now? And the other one is, it's one we all know. It's swapping. And again, these require that you get them off without the sniper seeing, which can be rough. I understand. These ones are very much more risky than just a banana bread, where they get some lowlights. These are usually, you know, you really need to be green testing these, and then you need to get out of the scene ASAP, or stay there because the sniper won't think you will. Things like that. But if you can swap and purloin efficiently without the sniper noticing, you can really get a hold on them. Let's just... Basically, snipers like to feel like they're in control. That is the point of the sniper role, in my opinion. I mean, spies are in control of their own destiny, but snipers, they say, I judge you this, you know. They're kind of the judge, jury, and executioner of Spy Party. And I think that's a really cool concept. It's a neat way to look at it, in my opinion. And they say... Okay, well, I know what's going on. I feel comfortable with this party. Those are the statues. That person's been to those books. That person's been to those books. That person's highlight because they walked funny, etc., etc. Where the crap is the guest list? And when they really miss something, especially if it's been for a while, they don't even know when it left. It can really throw a sniper off their game. At least that's kind of how I see it. And the same goes for swap. They're very similar missions at the moment. Allegedly, with the purloin change. Which is why I haven't done a purloin video, for the record. Things are going to be quite a bit different. We need to wait and see on that one. But right now, at the time of this current video, and probably even after, because purloin shouldn't be that different, you can really use them to distract a sniper, even a good one, because the sniper sees this information and goes, ah, crap, when did he swap? And they occasionally, and I would almost say usually, go into panic mode. They want to figure out who did it, who was there, who do they remember sitting there, who wasn't there. They can overly lowlight and overly highlight and make all these big mistakes that they don't need to be making. And the same goes for purloin. In fact, it's almost worse for purloin, because you see, okay, that person wasn't near statues. That person wasn't, I mean, near Toby, not near statues. They were on the other side of the map. That person was on the other side of the map. All these people, none of them had left. And, of course, you've walked over there and you were hiding and you get a low light. And that happens. That totally happens. I've won and lost so many games because of stuff like that. And it's rough as sniper. And I wanna mention the kind of neat way to deal with it that I like generally. It's not like some super secret tip or trick. It's something I feel like anyone can do. It's just hard. You really need to understand what's going on, and be able to just take a deep breath. So let's jump on over back to Spy Party. Hopefully it twitches. There we go. let's hop on back to Spy Party and just kind of go on. I like to use Panop as an example because it's kind of the map for these kind of shenanigans. I mean, you can do it on ballroom. Hell, you could do it on balcony if you're a good enough player, or the sniper's inept enough. But, or they're distracted enough, rather. I guess ineptitude's not really a big factor. But basically, Panop is the biggest map where these shenanigans are probably going to happen. And so, I mean, if I notice, I don't know, like this statue's switched. So, you know, some people will they'll highlight all these people because they're leaving or something. And, you know, they'll have all these lowlights already and stuff. But it'll generally be a guessing game if they missed it. Maybe they remember that red tie over here was there, and maybe they think Blondo was there as well. And that's great, that's fine, I guess. There's nothing wrong with it, those are all fine. But if they're like, okay, I'm sure purple dress and blonde and Bondo, brown dress wasn't there, yellow jacket and blue danger, none of them were there. Well, those are fine, but you know, you're in the heat of the moment, you miss a whole bunch of stuff, and you're panicking. You don't fully grasp, but you're worried about all these things, and it's all this adrenaline going through your head. You're trying to figure out, okay, who's the spy? Who's the spy? Who's the spy? Where did he go? And look, you low light the spy. It just, I mean, it happens. It happens to all of us. Now, how do you fix that? How do you not muck up your own gameplay because you're panicking over a swap or a purloin, for example? And the closest answer I can give you, and this is the one that's very part of you, you can't just kind of just click on a button and fix it, which I apologize for. The basic answer is that you need to take a deep breath. You need to calm down. You need to say to yourself, alright, I am Sniper. He is Spy. The Spy has gotten something past me. That's one mission at least. He's probably done a few more. That's fine. I need to focus on the game at hand. I can't wait and focus on this swap statue. It's already been swapped. There's nothing I can do about that. I need to continue playing, try and figure out who the spy is using my head, and just keep going at it. And that's rough. That's super rough to just say to yourself and do. But if you can just relax and take a deep breath and keep playing normally, the panic should fade, and you should ideally be able to get out of the situation alive, ideally winning, because you're the sniper, so I don't really know how you die. And it really negates what the spy does with their panic. They say, alright, I'm going to BB, then I'm going to go swap, then I'm going to go chill for a minute. And then in your panic, you see the swap eventually, like after 10, 15 seconds. But then you just relax. The spy's like, alright, I might get low lit. And then the sniper's just decompressing and says, alright, I'm just going to play this game normally, and I'm going to find out the spy is. And you catch a microfilm or something. Like, that's the power of just being able to just take that kind of hit and keep rolling on. And I feel like a lot of snipers have a hard time with that, because they don't know how to handle it. And that's my approach to it, just how I've handled it in the past. Let's see. The better your opponent is, and I hate to say this, but this is just true. The better your opponent is, the better they're going to handle all these shenanigans. If you are, I mean, at 1,000 games, generally, probably be able to handle it, maybe not used to it. 3,000 games, they can probably handle it fairly well. And at 7,000 games, they can probably handle it quite well. At least currently. This is all going to be outdated. It'll be funny to watch this in a year or two. When like 3,000 games means nothing. And it just means that you need to get better, basically, as you go up. I mean, you will, but you need to go further than that, ideally. And not everybody can do that, not everybody wants to. That's fine. I'm just trying to promote you guys as players to learn and get better. And I feel like that's an important part of it. So, what's kind of neat about these shenanigans, though, is that you can do a lot. If your opponent thinks you're doing a distraction, then you can kind of get in their head and then do the opposite and not really not really deal too much with distractionary stuff. I mean, if you know they're gonna look at bags, you can just go do the other stuff and let them highlight just AIs who happen to be there, because that'll happen. You're not gonna find a spy every time. This is not a tactic as sniper you're always gonna be able to use, as is basically every tutorial I've put out. I mean, they're all good tips and tricks to know and have, but I don't feel like any of them are crucial. I mean, maybe the mission ones, but I mean, you can learn the missions by reading the manual, by going to practice, by talking to anybody. These ones are really good tools to have just in your pocket, ready to use. And that's why this sniper stuff is really cool to know. And I feel like if you're panicked for any reason, whether it's a distraction or maybe you just mismemorized, which happens, you just need to relax, and that's a lot of it. So, let's go over here. And there's one last, I guess big. It's kind of interesting. I don't feel like this is an obvious way to distract your opponent, but it totally can. I've been in the bad, terrible seat of this. I just jumped to pan up, which is funny because I'm actually not that big a fan of this on pan up, but it's fine. And so the biggest, the last kind of large one we have right now, as the game is in open beta, is time adding. Now, it's funny because I feel like a lot of players don't feel like, oh yeah, there's that bug. Don't feel like time adding is very interactive, and it's in a way not. But what you're doing with time adding is you're, especially if you green test, which can get pretty bad if you do it more than once, is you say to your opponent, you say, okay, I get it, you're the sniper, that's fine, nothing wrong with that, but I'm gonna add all this time, and I can do one of two things. I can walk around idle, not do much, or I can actively do my missions while you're trying to figure out who I am. But now that I have all this time to spare, I can just win with 3 minutes on the clock and not even worry about it if you don't catch me. And at first, that seems kind of counterintuitive, like, oh, you're wasting all this time. Like, why would you add that time if you're not even going to use it? But you might. You never know. What if the sniper picks up on you and you just want to idle for a bit? You just want to grab a book, nothing crazy, and then you just want to get away from everybody for a minute or so. Now, that sounds kind of crazy, but if you need to idle, if you need to throw off suspicion, especially if you've time added, because that's what gives you the time to do this, you make sure the sniper can see you, and you just chill here. You read a book. I mean, that's not what you have to do, but it's a good example. And if you're lucky, maybe you can microfilm later. But the idea is that adding time gives the spy a lot of options, and can really distract the sniper, making them worried about, are you going to time add again? If so, should I be watching that? Is that something I need to be checking out? And I feel like it can really make snipers worried, especially if you do it at the beginning or at the end. Because at the end, I mean, time adds can be brutal. In the beginning, they're just annoying. In the beginning, they're kind of just, you know, whatever, nothing huge. But at the end, I mean, if there's 30 seconds left, and you green time add, if you just say, yeah, by the way, sniper, so yeah, there's 30 seconds left, but there's really a minute and 15, it's just gonna constantly look like and beep at you, looking like I'm about to win. You can be on the timeout plan and they might shoot somebody out of just being anxious. I know, I've done it. A lot of players have done it. There's nothing wrong with that, and it's a great strategy. It's just hard to pull off, because they already have such a good grasp on the party at that point that, I mean, the odds of you pulling it off and not getting seen aren't the highest, but they're definitely not a bad strategy. And that's what I like about the time ad idea so much, is that it's one great way to interact with a sniper, and then they can just feel so lost. I mean, imagine if you could just, at a time like this, imagine if you could just have an hour to do your missions. Some players would say that gives the sniper a huge advantage, and others might say it gives the spy a bigger advantage, because every 15 minutes they could do a mission, and what are the odds the sniper would really see it? And regardless of who's right or wrong in that discussion, the cool thing is how the timeout affects the sniper's point of view. For the spy, it's all like daisies. Yeah, sure, lowlight those people. What if one of them was me? But for the sniper, I think I missaid that. For the spy, it's generally all good. The sniper has more time to accumulate information. That's totally true. But um, if the spy can make use of that and figure out what's going on, he'll probably just win. Basically, because the sniper's so focused on all these other things. I mean, you have so much time to just do all these things that just can get you low lit or idling, or maybe you're so fast you don't even need that time. It was just all a ploy. That's one of the cool things about Spy Party. You have all these options and you gotta build it. Um, and I would say that's one of the best things about using it as a distraction. It's not really something a lot of people expect. So I wanna re-mention that a lot of these tactics aren't stuff that you can just just use in every game. They really aren't. You can use the BB, and then you can swap distract and then maybe time out a few times, in a few games over the course, but you don't want to do them too often. Although mixing it up is a good idea. Maybe BBing one game and then swapping or something, and then purloining could throw off a good sniper, or any sniper rather. And what's neat about this is that it is one of the ways to interact with your opponent. You can really just toss them off their game if you know what you're doing and you can handle yourself properly. A lot of times after a good distraction goes off, something awful happens where you pass poorly into a wall, or maybe they just kind of casually catch you with your white microfilm transfer. And that sucks. But that doesn't mean the distraction failed. That's one of the cool things about it. It means that maybe the distraction was a success, but you need to practice your overall execution a little more. Sometimes. Maybe they just got lucky. It's hard to say. A lot of things in Spy Party, it may seem like luck, but I generally attribute to them a skill, because it's how you use the hand you're given. I know sometimes Spy Party's compared to like Texas Hold'em, and I can definitely see the comparison here. And distracting your opponents is part of that. You can, and I'm not going to cover this tonight. I think I covered most of the things I wanted to cover already, but I want to discuss this. You can distract your opponents over the course of games. And that may seem a little far-fetched. That may seem kind of strange. But if you can get your opponent to expect A, and then just throw Z at them, odds are they're going to go from 1 to 26 and be a little weirded out. I mean, all those 25 or 24 other letters, kind of toss them for a whirl. And that's one of the cool things, is that if you can learn how to harness some of these tools, you can really just you can win a lot. I mean, it's more than winning. You can get good. You can get really good really fast if you can harness some of these tools, in my opinion. But a lot of this is getting in your opponent's head. Some opponents it won't work as well against. Some, it'll work fabulously. I've seen the players who just get panicked and distracted at just the generic banana bread. Nothing crazy, not even use the distraction. They just shoot because they're anxious. But as you get up in players, that's going to change. That is 100% going to change. And it means that you can't rely on the same tactics. You need to evolve them. You need to make them your own. Like with what I mentioned earlier with water strategy. And I heavily suggest if you come up with an innovation, you use it. You might lose you the first 100 games, but the next 100, if it works, it works. So I want people to come up with these strategies, because the game is a sandbox that you can play and make your own castle. I actually think that's gonna be it for tonight. It feels a bit short, but I'm not gonna prolong it any more than it needs to be. I feel like I definitely covered everything. So thanks for watching. And try these out. Try and figure out what's up. And I wish you guys the best of luck. I don't quite know what I'm doing next week. I have some ideas. And speaking of which, next week's Tutorial Tuesday will be at 6 p.m. my time. Because starting tomorrow and going for a full 7 days, I will be starting at 6 p.m. for It's Midnight somewhere if you're following me there. You can find me on Twitter to see what's that up. You can find me on YouTube. And you can, of course, find me on Twitch where you're watching me now. So, thank you for watching. That's going to be the end of it for tonight. Until next time, I'm Drawnonward, and I'll see you guys around.